real. Now, Deion Sanders can say whatever he wants to say as far as why he left and all this other kind of stuff. But we know that money talks. And with you getting paid $300,000 from Jackson State University and being told that you're going to get $5 million. So my daughter is currently going to an HBCU. She graduates in May, and her father and I just felt it best for her to go to an HBCU to get the Black experience. Even though she went to a school in Georgia where it was predominantly Black, so it's not like she's never been to a school where it was predominantly Black, but living overseas, she kind of lost that. She did have a couple of Black students in her class, and so we just felt like it was important for her to know more of who she is, her culture, being around people that look like her, and I think that that was the best thing for her. Now, she applied to 8 different universities, and 5 of them were predominantly white institutions, and 3 of them were from HBCUs. She did not get accepted into any of the PWIs, even though she's a second in her class, and she scored pretty high on the SATs. But she did get into all of the HBCUs, and the HBCU that she is currently attending gave her a full ride scholarship to school. So she is going to college for free. If you know anything about an HBCU, then you know that they are definitely underfunded. The first time that I dropped my daughter off at her school, I was very shocked to see you know, what the campus looked like. The campus was not very kept up, very run down, and I was just like, just a little bit of coat of paint would definitely make this a whole lot better. If you've gone to an HBCU or you know someone who goes to the HBCU, you know how underfunded these schools are. You know that the facilities are run down, dorm rooms are run down. A lot of times there are shortage of faculty members. There's a lot of problems that go on with HBCUs, and a lot of these students are definitely just taking a hit because there's just no money that is being put into these schools for these students to not only get a good education, but also be living in a great you know, campus environment. And we can say that there's a similarity in what's happening in the HBCUs as far as what happens in a lot of African countries, as far as there also being shortage of jobs and shortage of resources. Economic growth is not very good. Lack of infrastructure. And so when you go to these countries and you look around and you see just the beauty of the people, but you see a lot that's lacking in the country itself, you just say to yourself, it's so sad that all of this is going to waste, because you know that things could definitely be better at an HBCU, and you know that things can definitely be better in these African countries. I say all this to say because in the Black community, we are always looking for somebody to come and save us from the things that are, you know, tearing the Black community down. We always want one person, usually a celebrity, to come in and try to save us. And that is exactly what has happened with this whole situation with Deion Sanders. If you have been following the news, Deion Sanders left HBCU, Jackson State University. I remember when he decided he was going to coach Jackson State University, and I was just definitely surprised, but I was also happy that he was going to be giving up his time and also bringing in his fame in order for this HBCU to be recognized and for people to finally see HBCUs in a new light. Now, if you don't know anything about Jackson State University, it is one of the largest HBCUs, and it has a very good football team. But unfortunately, because it is an HBCU and a lot of times they do not compete with a lot of prominent football teams, then you don't see a lot of coverage on these teams and you don't see a lot of coverage on the players. So when Deion Sanders made the announcement that he was going to coach at Jackson State University, then with that came a lot of coverage. With that became a lot of people actually seeing this HBCU and, you know, bringing light and shedding light into an HBCU school that a lot of times people don't ever see. Now with his fame, he also brought a little money as well. He did do what he could to upkeep the facilities, upgrade it, and to do what he needed to do to kind of, you know, get this program up and running and improve the program, because of course money is needed to improve the program. You got to make sure that you have proper facilities to practice on and all of that. And so he actually was doing everything he could to build up this program. And I did read in an article that some of his salary that he was being paid, he was using for these upgrades. And now he has decided that he is no longer going to coach at Jackson State University. He is now going to be the new coach at Colorado. And the black community is livid. A lot of people in the black community are upset. They feel like that he's a sellout. They feel like that he done the Jackson State University wrong, including the players. I mean, they are dogging Deion Sanders left and right. I'm not here to dog Deion Sanders, but I am here to say that the black community definitely needs to stop waiting on saviors to come and save the black community, or thinking that one person is going to save the black community, especially when it comes to black celebrities. We all know that a lot of times these black celebrities, they will put in that little bit of time, they will put in that little bit of money, and when they have done all they want to do, they're leaving and they're going on, and we're expected to continue on with what they started. And a lot of times we're not able to do that because we're not giving back into our communities. We want other people to put into the community, but we're not doing our part in order to keep these programs going, in order to keep that money flowing. We just want somebody to come in and save us, and then that's it. And so that's what people were thinking that Deion Sanders was supposed to do. Now let's be real. Let's be real. Now Deion Sanders can say whatever he wants to say as far as why he left and all this other kind of stuff, but we know that money talks. And with you getting paid $300,000 from Jackson State University and being told that you're going to get $5 million, yeah, okay. I mean, there's not really a thought processing going on there. I mean, he really had to have stayed at Jackson State University because he really did just want to do what he could to build it up to the extent that he wanted to. But he had made it very clear if something else better came up that he was going to leave Jackson State University, and that's exactly what happened. And now people are mad about it. And I don't see what we're mad about when we all know that a lot of times these black celebrities do look out for self. They do look out for their own financial gain. They do look out for their fame. They do look out for their name to continue to be in the spotlight. So I don't see why we are still surprised when they come and go from the black community, give what they can, do what they want to do, and then they pull back and they go right back where they are. And I think a lot of times in the black community, we really start to get upset because a lot of times it's not like they're leaving our community and maybe going to another black community. They're leaving the black community together, and like him, he's going to the white community where 3% of those players are black. So it's just like, okay, I can understand that you want to, you know, better yourself, but a lot of times when they're ready to elevate, when these black celebrities are elevating, they're not elevating within the black community. And let's be honest, black community, let's be honest, black people, what are they going to elevate to in our community? Because we don't put back into our communities. We should be putting into these HBCUs. We should be encouraging our kids to go to HBCUs, to give money to these HBCUs. These white institutions are doing so well because a lot of times you have billionaires, you have millionaires, you have people that used to go to school there that are putting money back into these schools so they can continue to be great. They're not just leaving and going and not putting any money into it. And a lot of times we do not invest in our own people. We don't invest in our own community. We're always waiting on somebody else to do the investment, and then we're expected to carry that out, and we can't. We can't. Unfortunately, I hope you know, unfortunately, Jackson State University, I don't see it continuously being the program that it was, you know, when Deion Sanders was there, unless black people see what it could be just from that short amount of time of what it could be, and then in turn, the people at Jackson State University, the people in Jackson State, Mississippi, say to themselves, we want this program to continue. We want this HBCU to still be on top and still get the coverage, and in order to do that, we're going to have to give up our time. We're going to have to give up our money. We're going to have to give up our resources in order for this thing to continue, instead of saying, oh, our savior has left, and so now we don't have anything, we can't do anything, and so we're going to let yet another HBCU, yet another black project go down the drain and it be absolutely nothing. We have to say within ourselves, in order for our community to grow, we have to put our time into it. We have to put our resources into it. We have to put our finances into it. That's only how it needs to grow and how it needs to be continuing. People are still talking about, they hope that after he leaves, or he has left, but they hope that they're able to bring in another former NFL to, you know, Jackson State University, instead of saying to themselves, we need somebody that's going to stay. We need somebody that's going to put in that time. We need to have somebody that's also going to be just as, you know, ambitious and goal-oriented to upgrade this program to get it to where it should be. And, you know, whoever that could be, not that it has to be somebody from the NFL. And you know, that's where we need to be dedicating our time. We have to dedicate our time to these HBCUs. We definitely have to dedicate our time to our next generation, because that's the next generation is what's keeping the black community growing, and we have to not forget that. So we really need to stop with this looking at Deion Sanders and thinking that he was supposed to carry the black community. He was not. He was not going to. He was not going to carry the HBCU. We knew that. You knew that. For those who go to that school, you knew he wasn't going to carry it all the way through. They never do. And so when you see that it's happened again, you should say to yourself, you know what, it is what it is. Now what are we going to do to continue to make sure that this program is the best that it can be? What are we going to do as a black community to make sure that the next generation is going to have something? And what are we going to do to make sure that the black community continues to get stronger and they continue to grow? And that's the same type of mentality that a lot of these African countries need to take as well. And a lot of these African countries, some of these African countries are finally wising up, and they are trying to hold these presidents accountable for what they need to do for these countries and do for these people. And they're saying, hey, enough is enough. You're gonna have to do for us, because that's your job. If not, we're gonna get you out of here. We're going to get you out of here. And I think that's what we as a black community and people of the African community also need to realize, the power of people, that we can definitely make a change in our communities and do what's necessary to make sure that what we do is going to be bring about the change that we ultimately want to see and we ultimately want to live. I am Michele Mazelleغ, and that is my opinion. Thank you all for watching. Make sure that you like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.